Going on, Falcon fans? Work. I'm doing coming back at you with another video. I'm back again today. Talk about free agents. The Super Bowl is over. That was an exciting Super Bowl. It pretty much went as I expected. Patrick Mahomes was going to do his thing. The 49ers dominated that game for the most part. However, in the big moments, situational football, the Kansas City Chiefs made the plays they need to make, and the 49ers did not. Kyle Shanahan, once again, did not run the ball as much as he needed to. And I think that's probably what the downfall of, the San Francisco 49ers. And Kyle Shanahan still cursed by what he did to Atlanta Falcons back in 2016. Just can't get over that hump. So, exciting Super Bowl. We officially have a dynasty in the NFL. After watching that game, kind of like, man, now we got another throwing quarterback that is going to be really tough to beat in the playoffs. Another generation of guy that, even if your team get there, you got to worry about that guy if he's in there. So, hats out to the Kansas City Chiefs. Good win for them. The NFL season for 2023 is now officially over. And guess what, guys? We can go ahead and get into the 2024 season, the off season in particular, and start talking about Atlanta Falcons. One thing I really want to talk about, I want to start out talking about the free agents. Now, the combine is first, of course, that's combine. But right after the combine, we start getting to free agencies. Now, I'm going to go over a list of free agents today. However, it definitely can be more names added, once they start to make, decisions to start cutting players, releasing players and things like that throughout the league. So a lot of these names can definitely change, before free agency actually kicks off here next month in March. So we definitely going to go through this list. When we talk about it, Falcon needs and things like that. If you look at the what the Atlanta Falcons have done throughout, this tenure with Terry Fontenot being our general manager, for the most part, they have went and got needs and things in free agency period. And then in draft, they usually get best player available. That's what they usually do. So if they follow that same trend, of course, we have a new coach here now. So the philosophy could possibly change. And plus, we do need a quarterback, which is the biggest elephant in the room. So, we don't know, which direction they're going to go with that. It could be a need when we get to the draft. And if, a quarterback is available, they could go for that quarterback in the draft, right? But for the most part, throughout this regime in the last 3 seasons, Terry Fontenot usually have filled most of our biggest needs, in free agency. And I don't think it's going to change a whole lot this year. If you're looking at over the cap for the Falcons, I think we're like $25 million. So it's a lot less. What's going on, Carrie? It's a lot less than what we had last season. We was going into free agency, was all excited about, building the team out. And the Falcons did an excellent job actually going out, building that team out, making sure that we was going to be really competitive, in 2023. And for the most part, we were competitive. That's why it was such a disappointment, because of the work we had did in the offseason to build, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And then we fell short because our offense could not get the job done. But yes, sitting right now with the cap, this is Cardinal over the cap, guys. We're at $25,849,508 of cap space. Now the Falcons can free up a lot of cap if they start releasing guys like other teams are going to definitely do. They try to get the cap space. You have to be up under the cap by the start of the new league year. So a lot of teams going to do that right now. It's a lot of teams that's over the cap. So a lot of teams going to start restructuring, doing deals, things like that. They have to release players to get up under the cap. The Falcons does not have that problem. However, they can actually get more cap by releasing some guys that you could definitely look at that could be considered to be a release for the Atlanta Falcons. Taylor Heineke definitely is one of the guys. They could save about $7 million there. They could look at Jonnu Smith is another guy. He played well last season, but that was an Arthur Smith guy. Maybe they might want to go in that direction with a guy like Jonnu Smith. Lorenzo Carter is another guy that could be released. These just guys just thinking about definitely, they don't have to release these guys, but to create cap space where we can have be big players in free agency, similar to what we were last season. This would be something they might want to consider. That's the reason why you get the coaching staff assembled, you get the front office, the department together, and they start to evaluate the current roster where we're at and determine what we need to do with some of these roster spaces, right? So that's what we got to do. That $25 million, that's the first 51 contracts anyway. Remember, that's all they have to count towards the cap to get up under the cap by the new league year. So that's the way that works. So it could be a little bit less, if you add more guys in, but right now it's showing $25 million in the cap space. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, guys, are the Atlanta Falcons free agents that they currently have that's out there, in the ether that they can definitely bring back. They definitely need to consider some of these guys 100% to bring some of these guys back. Specifically in the receiver room. Right now, we only have one receiver under contract, and that is Drake London, right? So I would anticipate that Atlanta Falcons definitely would probably think about considering bringing some of the receivers that we had on the roster back to the fold, just to boost up that receiver room a little bit. Now, I anticipate them to going in either free agency in the draft, getting some more receivers, but for the starts, we can get some contracts, some guys, that won't hit us hard on the salary cap. Guys like Van Jefferson, who has familiarity with our new offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson. So he's a guy, didn't do a whole lot for the Atlanta Falcons last year, but it's a guy that can take the ball deep, that has a lot of experience playing in that Rams offense. So Van Jefferson could definitely be a guy that they might consider bringing back. Mac Hollins is another guy. I really like the way Mac Hollins was, his physicality. He's a great special teamer guy that definitely can be utilized. Special teams is important. People always forget about that. But big body guy that could be a possession receiver if you need to be. So Mac Hollins is a guy they can bring back as well. And then Cardell Hodge, of course, guy who's been here for a while with the Atlanta Falcons, continue, to stick around. Another special teams guy. Between him and Mac Hollins, I think they're some of the best two gunners on this roster, and you might need to consider bringing those guys back. Now, if you look how important, special teams are, you look at what the 49ers did with their receiver last night. I think his name was Conley. He made a lot of big plays on special teams, pinning, the Kansas City Chiefs deep, right? And that's, like I said, that's a underrated thing in football when you think about special teams. So bringing back a guy like Mac Hollins and Cardell Hodge, it definitely would be something that they consider. Wouldn't cost them a whole lot, but you need to create some depth in that receiver room. Right now, we only got Drake London. So those are three guys to definitely consider. Scotty Miller is another guy that's a free agent. If you want to think about bringing him back as well. But all of them would not be considered, but at least one or two of those guys, the Atlanta Falcons, maybe consider bringing back to this roster. On the defensive side of the ball, two guys in particular, I would definitely love to come back to be in the fold. Calais Campbell, 100%. We still don't know his status or he's going to retire or not, but I think his veteran presence, on this roster was really huge for a guy like, Zach Harrison coming into his own. But bringing a guy like Calais Campbell back, to me, would be a huge thing to do. So hopefully they consider that, bringing a guy like Calais Campbell back if he decides to continue playing. Another guy is Bud Dupree. I thought Bud Dupree played well, particularly in the run game. He did miss some sacks, man. And he missed a couple of sacks. We probably could have won some games if he could have got his hand around, especially Josh Dobbs in that Minnesota game. But Bud Dupree played decent. You might get him back on a cheap contract as well. We need to be able to keep some continuity on our defense, especially from our veteran guys. So Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree is somebody that we might want to consider bringing back. So those are some of our free agents that we currently have on the roster that definitely can consider. It's more out there, but out of the guys that I think that Atlanta Falcons should definitely think about are those guys in particular. Another guy, of course, Jeff Okuda. Jeff Okuda played solid before he got injured. Then we saw towards the end, he got his. They started put Clark Phillips in to get some of his burn. So I don't know if that was injury related or not, but Jeff Okuda could definitely be a guy that could come back, to play for these Atlanta Falcons. Right now, Jeff Okuda sitting at market value is like 14 million. I think you get him cheaper than that. I don't think his market value should be that high. Injury prone, career so far, and potentially, I don't think he would garner 14 million. However, if you go look at Sport Track, right now they got him valued at about $14 million, $14 million a year for his career. But Jeff Okuda is another guy who might want to consider bringing back. And these are some of the Atlanta Falcons' own free agents that they got out there, right? So first thing you do, you want to sign your own guys, especially if you think they can contribute to the team. You want to keep a little continuity there. If you get them on cheap deals, it would be a smart idea to definitely go in and consider bringing some of these guys back. So, guys, I'm really interested to see what you guys think about that. Just let me know about some of those free agents coming back. Once again, those guys are Mac Hollins, Van Jefferson, Cordell Hodge, maybe Scotty Miller, of course, Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, and Jeff Okuda. Those are our own free agents, guys. We got to think about that first and foremost. You don't want none of those guys back. I understand. We can go out and try to, because when I go down some of these other names, we might say, well, we might want to consider some of those guys instead of these guys I just mentioned, that could potentially come in and take those guys' spots, right? Once again, just remember, we only got 25 million right now. Atlanta Falcons have a lot of, avenues to increase their cap space. They can restructure deals, with guys like Grady, Jake Matthews, and actually increase. If you sign a guy like AJ Terrell to a long-term deal, you can actually, add more cap there because you would probably give him money up front and a signing bonus. So that will lower the cap for a guy like AJ Terrell. So it's other avenues they can to create more cap space. But at this point right now, we only got 25 million. So the Atlanta Falcons really need to think about that going into this offseason. And just like Carrie said, it's official. It is official of the Falcons offseason. Right now, you're kind of hoping and thinking that, Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot and the team is still at Flowery Bench right now, brainstorming on what the plan is going to be. Yes, it's 7:30, but hopefully they still, in the trenches right now, trying to get busy to figure out how to beat, just the Kansas City Chiefs next year in the Super Bowl. That's what I would be thinking about if I were those guys, right? How can we build this team to even get, create sustainment like those guys and consistency over a long period of time, like a Kansas City Chiefs team, right? That's what every team, besides Kansas City Chiefs should be trying to do, is trying to figure out how to create that kind of team, that kind of chemistry, that kind of consistency to be able to go to the Super Bowl, 4 to 5 last season. So that's really impressive. And, every team should be trying to strive to do that. All right. So those are our own free agents for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to quickly go down the other free agents around the league. I'll do it by positions. Keep in mind, just going down who's available, guys. I'm not saying that Atlanta Falcons should get any of these guys, right? Now, and some I will, talk longer about because I really would like to see some of these guys potentially, come to Atlanta Falcons. Some of these guys probably, outpriced for the Atlanta Falcons because they're so talented and they probably going to garner a lot on the free market. Being able to get some of these guys is probably impossible for us to do, but you never know. You have to see, right? So we're going to start with the quarterback position. And right now, these are the quarterbacks that are currently free agents. Definitely could change. We could get another free agent, like somebody, say, from Denver. They was to get released. or Russell Wilson. So he's not on this list because he's currently under contract with the Denver Broncos, but he definitely could be added to this free agency list for quarterbacks. So, of course, the first quarterback is on the list is Kirk Cousins. We already know everything about Kirk Cousins. Had a pretty solid NFL career. I think it's somebody that, the Atlanta Falcons think about bringing in, could definitely come in, and you would see us already improve right away from what we did last year, because we would have consistent quarterback play at that position, and we probably would win more games right off the bat. So we're getting a guy like Kirk Cousins in. The only problem would be what would be the price tag to bring a guy like him in, and then how does that work towards the Atlanta Falcons' future, right? That would be my big concern, bringing a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's 36 years old. Even though quarterbacks do play longer, he is coming off an Achilles injury. And how much would he be asking for if we decide to go with a guy like Kirk Cousins? So that is a guy, the first guy on the quarterback list. The next guy is Ryan Tannehill. Of course, we say no to that. Most of us would. I think it could be in play if we still had our former head coach here. Definitely. And interesting enough, the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the teams that is definitely have their eye on Ryan Tannehill for next season. There should be no surprise there. Mike Tomlin mentioned he wanted to bring competition for Kenny Pickett. Ryan Tannehill would be the perfect guy to bring in, somebody who already knows Arthur Smith offense. Would definitely push Kenny Pickett, to be his best version of himself. So I like that for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Definitely not for the Atlanta Falcons, but a guy like Ryan Tannehill going there with the familiarity with Arthur Smith could definitely help their team out. The next guy is Jacoby Brissett. I can see Jacoby Brissett coming in as a backup quarterback for us. Definitely, if we, let Taylor Heineke go, Desmond Ridder would still be on the roster as of now. But bringing a veteran solid backup in would not be a bad idea if they, do that, especially if they were to go the draft route and draft a young quarterback. Bringing a guy like Jacoby Brissett would be definitely big and impactful for that quarterback room. So I like a guy like Jacoby Brissett coming in to be that guy. Mitch Trubisky just got released by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I guess they're making space for Ryan Tannehill. But that'll be a hard pass for Mitch Trubisky for this Atlanta Falcons team. We would not want to see him in our colors. Tyrod Taylor, journeyman guy, backup guy. If you want to bring a guy like Tyrod Taylor in, I think he's a solid backup, to come in and probably win some games for us. Next guy is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, we know he was the third overall draft pick years back in that Baker Mayfield draft. Had a really, not so good career so far, being bounced around from team to team. It seemed like he did find his footing in San Francisco. If I would him, I would think he would want to sign back with those guys, being a backup there, because he seemed like he fit well in that Kyle Shanahan offense. So Sam Darnold staying back with the San Francisco 49ers, in my opinion, probably would be a good idea for him. This guy is famous Jameis Winston. Hard pass on that. Mr. Turnover Machine himself definitely would not bring Jameis Winston in to be, anything for this team. And plus, he need to sign back with the Aints so we can remember that crap he pulled the last game of the season. So we want him to sign back with the New Orleans Aints. Baker Mayfield look like he's a lot to go back to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think it will be well deserved the way he played this season. I think like they brought in a offensive coordinator that he's familiar with. The question would be, how much money would he be asking for? Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have free agents they need to pay as well. So that will be a big thing to look at for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. The last guy I'm going to talk about is Drew Lock with the Seattle Seahawks for years. Came in one time this season and actually played really good football for the Seahawks. I think right now has pretty much limited himself probably to a backup I do not really see him getting a starting role anywhere, but being a consistent backup quarterback in the NFL, it's not bad. And what we found out this year, especially from the quarterback position, having a good, solid backup quarterback is a big deal. It was a lot of teams, it was probably more than any other season, where a lot of backups quarterback had to come in and play extended time, for their team, and that's why you need a solid backup quarterback. So that's why I mentioned a guy like me, Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor. Those guys definitely could come in, and then a guy like Drew Lock as well come in and play some solid backup quarterback for me. That's what the backup quarterback job is. So bringing any of these guys in, to be backups would be great. Only quarterback that you're looking at bringing in to be a starter would be a guy like Kirk Cousins. And then I did mention Russell Wilson. If he decided to get released, that'd be another guy that Atlanta Falcons could consider on the quarterback market for a free agency. So those are our quarterbacks. For me, like I said, free agency route would be my third option. Trying to get a quarterback. That would be my third option all the way around, trying to get that quarterback for these Atlanta Falcons for 2024. All right, the next position will be the wide receivers, and this is a really a rich free agency for wide receivers to go. The problem is these guys going to ask for some money, right? Especially the two top names, T. Higgins and Mike Evans. Both of those guys is probably going to ask for some gula, right? They're going to ask for want to get paid. It seems like T. Higgins going to be franchise tag, so he probably will be off the free agency market. Time the season starts. Mike Evans, 10 consecutive season over 1,000 yards. He's going to ask for the bank as well. Will be a solid guy to bring to the Falcons, but like I said, he will be probably overpriced for us. If Tampa Bay Buccaneers smart, they would try to bring him back to the fold, especially with the chemistry he had with a guy like Baker Mayfield. So that's really going to be interesting to see where Mike Evans ends up. He hopefully don't end up with the Chiefs. That'd be ridiculous. Odell Beckham Jr. is another guy who's going to be a free agent this year. Didn't impress me a whole lot, in Baltimore this year. Seemed like he didn't get a lot of burn. I don't know what his injury status, how healthy he is. I guess it would be a good idea to bring him in and work him out. But being a solid number 2 to Drake London, if you get him for the right price, I would not be against that. He did play with the Rams back in their Super Bowl. So he does have familiarity with Raheem Morris and probably Zach Robinson. So it's a guy that we can consider bringing to the Atlanta Falcons, for the right price. Curtis Samuel, another guy, veteran that's out there that the Atlanta Falcons consider. Remember, like I said, start the show, we only got one quarterback under contract. So any of these guys could be solid guys to come in to, veteran guys to have. Tyler Boyd with that Cincinnati Bengals, that third guy for them. Bringing a guy like Tyler Boyd in is definitely wouldn't be a bad thing. Cedric Wilson, coming from the Dolphins, they thought he was going to be able to do, some of the things he did, coming from the Cowboys, but he's pretty much was a third wheel over there with Miami as well. Miko Harmon, right? The guy just won the Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs. Is a free agent again this year. Be interested to Chiefs bring him back, or will he hit the free agency market? Last year he tried to go to the New York Jets. We see how they turned out. He got released. The Chiefs picked him back up, and he won the Super Bowl. All right. Calvin Ridley, our buddy Calvin Ridley, is a free agent. Jacksonville has not made him offer yet. So as of right now, Calvin Ridley would go into free agency. It'll be interesting. It'll be really crazy, right? If the Atlanta Falcons was to be able to sign Calvin Ridley back to the team. I guess I wouldn't have a problem with it. I didn't like the way he quit on the team, but he is a talented wide receiver. You put him around with a guy like Drake London, that would be a good dynamic duo to have, a Calvin Ridley and a Drake London. Problem is, what would the price tag be for Calvin Ridley? And then the last guy is Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, coming from the Arizona Cardinals, a straight up burner, somebody you can put in the slot. Somebody could definitely use in this passing game. I like a guy like Hollywood Brown coming in, so definitely out there, free agency on the market for our Atlanta Falcons. So, aside for T. Higgins and Mike Evans, I think any of these guys could be got. Maybe Calvin Ridley as well, but any of the other guys that I called out in the receiver room, you want a veteran guy to come in to complement Drake London. You definitely probably end up getting some guys in the draft as well at the receiver position. But this is a nice list of free agents that's really solid receivers out there that Atlanta Falcons bring in to help booster up their receiver room, right? So, if they bring back some of our own free agents that I mentioned, earlier in the show, then they bring another veteran in, get some guys, younger guys in the draft, we can have a solid mixture of youth and young guys in their receiver room, which is much needed for this Atlanta Falcons team. Then our wide receiver coach, a real wide receiver coach we got this year, can groom those guys, get those guys ready to go. Nathan Floyd says Mayfield, Minshew, or Brissett would be solid. Yes, they would. But for me, it would be for backups, though. So if we get into those guys, for me, I would say them as a backup quarterback. KJ Osborne and Curtis Samuel, 100%. Either one of those guys. We need veteran guys anyway. So any of those guys you bring in, I agree with what's going on. What's going on? Dirty Fanatics United. What's going on, guys? Enjoyed y'all show the other night. Thanks for coming in, kicking it with me, talking free agents here. Right now, I'm on the wide receivers. And I just mentioned, like I said, for the most part, if the Atlanta Falcons go get any of the veteran wide receivers, to pair with Drake London would be good. And then you want to, pretty much go in the draft and get some youth, right? You get some good guys. We're going to get into the draft soon after the combine. I'm trying to wait till the combine happen. So when everybody stocks start to rise, we can start talking about some of these guys. A couple of years ago, I did do some sleeper picks, and I actually did pretty good. I think I got a couple of picks. I actually picked Tyler Algier to be Atlanta Falcon. And guess what? The Atlanta Falcons drafted him in the 5th round. So we're going to get to that later on this off season, talking about the draft. But right now, we're talking about free agents, guys that's proven that definitely come in that we think can contribute to this Atlanta Falcons team. So veteran receivers coming in. All right, let's go to the safeties, guys. I want to talk about some safeties. It's not a whole bunch of safeties that's out there that I would really consider personally that the Atlanta Falcons bring in. But, some of the guys on my wish list, because I would love to pair another good safety with Jesse Bates. My dream guy would be 100%, which he has a team option. So the team has to make a decision on him and where they're going to let him go or not. And that's safety Budda Baker. But bringing a guy like Budda Baker in to compare with Jesse Bates would be like a dream, right? That would be a great safety combination. These guys can split between strong safety and free safety there. Budda Baker has ties with our defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, already. So that would be a good pairing there. I like a guy like Budda Baker. Like I said, the Arizona Cardinals would have to let him go, but that would be the first guy that I'm thinking about. Like, yeah, let's make it happen. Bring in a guy like Budda Baker. Antoine Whitfield Jr. is a free agent, right, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's what I talked about earlier. Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a lot of things they got to get done. They got a linebacker that needs to get paid, right? Their middle linebacker need to get paid. They need to pay Mike Evans. They need to sign Baker Mayfield, and now right here, Antoine Whitfield Jr. is also a free agent. So now he probably would be priced out for us. We're not going to have two safeties on the team just making big bucks, right? But a guy like Budda Baker shouldn't, garner that much, right? We might get him in a team friendly deal, maybe something like that. He just want to compare it with his old coach, compare it with Jesse Bates, making that dynamic safety room. I think something like that would be awesome. So, that's just my dream pick right now. We get a guy like Budda Baker. Antoine Whitfield Jr. would definitely be, but I think he'll be priced out. Then the last guy who, has kind of hit the injury bug over the last couple of seasons, and you can probably get him for a cheaper price too, and that's Michael Hyde from the Buffalo Bills. So excellent when he actually is on the field and he actually can play. But right now, according to Spotrac, his market value is only $3 million. So, right, you can sign him to a 2-year, $6 million contract, something like that. As long as he's healthy, bring him in, pair him with Jesse Bates. He would have not had to do so much. Maybe he can stay healthy. But those are my three safeties. More safeties out there on the free agency. But, somebody that come in that's better in coverage than a Richard Grant, right? Richard Grant is a great box safety that can come downhill, make tackles. He's good in blitzing the quarterback. But when it comes to coverage, he's not that guy. So they need to get a better coverage safety. They're going to play the kind of defense they want to play. Jesse Bates is awesome, but you need another guy back there so they can be interchangeable. And I like the three safeties that I just mentioned. Let's get some comments here. John Marino says, "What's up, Ricondo? Fact going on? Make a surprise move in the draft, making a 3rd round pick." Yes, that would be something that it's been talked about. I talked about it yesterday on when I talked about the quarterbacks. It's been reported that the New England Patriots are willing, considering, thinking about moving their 3rd round pick. Again, they're going to get a veteran quarterback and moving off that 3rd round pick. Is that the case? The Falcons is the most advantageous team because they're in the top 10 to be able to move up, right? They won't have to give as much as the other teams would have to move up to the number 3 spot. The question is, if you do move at number 3, are you sure you're getting your quarterback, the guy that you really want? Because, it's anticipated that the first 2 teams are taking quarterbacks, and you don't want the 3rd base overall quarterback unless it's the guy you wanted all the way. So definitely it's a good idea to move up. Right now, if it goes Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jalen Daniels was to fall into the 3rd round pick, I think that would be some of the best scenario for the Atlanta Falcons. They can actually move up and make that deal. So you are right. That do have potential to do that. It's just a rumor though right now. I don't know if it got any traction on that. What direction would the New England Patriots go? In the veteran, they could go with a Russell Wilson or a guy like Kirk Cousins. You 100% correct that if they decide to go that route and get a veteran, vice going in the draft and getting a younger guy. So good point on that, John. Y'all drop a like for my guy, 100%. I it's amazing because I really never talk about likes and shares and things like that. I just come in here to talk, but definitely, guys, if you like my content, please like it, share it throughout the Falcons universe out there. Bring more guys in to talk Falcons. I want fans to come out here and challenge me on some of my takes that I give, right? Because I'm a fan just like you, right? So I never said that my takes are gospel or anything like that. I like to hear other points of views, and because something I didn't even think about, or you have some knowledge about a player on another team or something like that. Just more insight. The more insight we got, the more idea, the more talk we can get and talk about this team. So please come in, share, and spread the word throughout this Falcon universe. Floyd said Xavier McKinney at safety. Yeah, that's another guy that Atlanta Falcons consider. Where Floyd Nathan, can you tell me where is Xavier McKinney? Where is he currently playing at? I'm not too familiar with him, his game. So you shed some light on that guy. Yeah, I seen it, John. I seen it. Kubiak signed with the Aints and OC Gary Kubiak. Yes, I did see that. Yeah, I was when I saw that, I was thinking about you, right? And I was thinking about the Gary Kubiak tree. You've been talking about it all off season, and I was thinking when I saw that Kubiak's son signed with the New Orleans Aints, all I was thinking about you saying, well, they got a good offense coordinator. If they're going to utilize that offense style offense, it's going to change the way that the New Orleans Saints play. Offense when they go to this kind of offense. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it looks. I don't know if they got an offensive line to do it currently right now to run the ball like they want to run it, but I think it's a good signing for them. I hate to say that by the Inks, but yep, I think it's a really good signing for the New Orleans Inks to bring in a guy like Kubiak that's been up under Kyle Shanahan for a while, right? That tree is something serious. And it's starting to spread like wildfire, this offense. So we'll see. Can they get the personnel to run it like and make it look good? Hopefully they don't. Just being honest. All right. All right, guys, let's go to the next position here. Let's go to the defensive line, right? Let's go to the defensive line, right? So this pretty much the edge rushers. I really want to talk about edge rushers. This would be a need for the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion. So if they're going to go with edge rusher, this definitely, in my opinion, would be a need. This would be, aside from the quarterback, this would be, in my opinion, just like last year, going out and making it a priority to go get our all-pro safety and Jesse Bakes. You would want to go in and try to get and solidify a decent edge rusher here, right? So we're gonna start off with the big fish, that's out there right now, and that's Danielle Hunter, right? Right now his market value is sitting at like 20 million. So this is a big cap hit for us. Definitely, you signed the first deal. It wouldn't be that much for us to cap in 2024, but that's a big, huge contract to look at for a guy like Danielle Hunter, bringing him in. So the Atlanta Falcons got to be, convinced and convicted in bringing a guy like Danielle Hunter in. So that would be a big move, bringing him in. Leonard Williams is another guy. Of course, he got traded to the Seattle Seahawks, but he's a free agent now. $16 million is market value. It's a guy bringing in. Carl Lawson, who had a lot of potential before he got hurt, a couple of years ago, coming from the Bengals, got a big deal when he went to the Jets, but got injured. So we haven't heard a lot from Carl Lawson in a couple of years, but he's a free agent now. Brandon Gregory, he had some flashes in the Super Bowl last night. If you look at what he did, could be, a friendly team deal, bringing a guy like him in. Zadarius Smith, former from the Green Bay Packers, coming him in, about $12 million value for him right now. Chase Young, a young pass rusher, is a free agent, sitting at 13 million market value. I don't know if we want to pay that, but he kind of played really good last night. Chase Young had a good game last night. One big, huge sack, continued pressing on Patrick Mahomes all game long. Kind of waned off towards the end, but I really like what he was able to do in that game against those tackles for the Kansas City Chiefs. So Chase Young is a guy. Leonard Floyd, familiarity with the Los Angeles Rams, and Raheem Morris coming in. He's getting a little older in it too, but about $8 million market value right now. So you're bringing in Leonard Floyd to help understand, if you bring in Leonard Floyd, I could see somebody like Bud Dupree might not coming back because you don't think you need two guys, up in the age, that being that old. So if you bring a Bud Dupree in, probably not a Leonard Floyd, but vice versa if you want to do something like that. Now, the biggest name that's out there right now, besides Daniil Hunter is Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and right now he's in his market value is like $24 million. So those are the big fish that Atlanta Falcons could definitely, go if they want to go big game hunting for edge rushers, which could be the case, right? Or they could go in the draft, right? The Atlanta Falcons have not drafted a defensive player in the first round in this regime yet. So it could be the first time that they decide to do that. So they could, go with the talented, edge out of Alabama at number 8, or the guy from UCLA. Both of their names are, can't slipping my mind right now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Both talented, guys coming out of draft could both go at number 8 easily if they want to go that route. And possibility because you're saving money, right? But if you want to go for the big fish, I did say the Falcons need to go bold and do something huge. If we had a quarterback in place, it would make a lot of sense to go and make a big splash right now. But the number one priority is nailing the quarterback. So everything else, in my opinion, takes secondary to that. So they have to be smart with their cap money until they get their quarterback in place. Right. So those are my edge guys. This is a big priority for them, but they have many different avenues to go get it. Like I said, they can get in the draft. The coolest thing about this Atlanta Falcons pass rush this year, they was able to garner 40 sacks. However, no guy was in double-digit sacks, right? So they was able to do a great job, by committee, right? You don't really like that. You want at least one guy that's going to wreak havoc, and then if that way you can play everybody else play off that guy, because if you got that one guy, he's probably going to get double teamed, which is going to free up. Think about Grady one-on-one. Think about David Yada one-on-one, right? If you're able to get that one guy that's going to force teams to bring two towards him because he's wrecking the shop. So if we can get something like that, Armor Ebiketie showed flashes, but he's still not where we want to be. We need somebody that they can come in and finally, at some point in time, in this Falcon, franchise, they're going to get a dominant pass rusher, that they actually sign or pick up in the draft, something like that. We had one in John Abraham, right? But other than that, we had guys that made splashes. Big Beasley had 16.5 sacks, but that was only 1 year, right? So getting an edge rusher, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important things besides the quarterback position that the Atlanta Falcons can definitely do, right? Let's see here what we got going on. Nathan, give me on safety. Strong safety with the Giants, has enough ability to play both safety spots. 24 years old, second round pick out of Alabama. There you go. I like that. He's the same agent as Bates. I gotta do research on him. Thanks for that, man. I'm definitely gonna look him up. But see, and that's what I'm talking about. Thanks, Nathan. That's why I like, us back and forth, because I didn't even know he was out there on the radar, and just tell me about him. And those ties, right? That's why I like it. That's why I mentioned Budda Baker, was coached by Jimmy Lake, right? Because you see the ties out there. Leonard Floyd coached by Raheem Morris, right? You just start to see the guys that you can potentially come in because they're free agents, and they want to come back and play for the coach they played. Similar to what Caden Ellis and Dave Yada did. They come to Atlanta because they wanted to play for Ryan Nielsen, right? So that's the kind of things you gotta like. That's what you like to see. So I like the way you did that. Think about Jesse Bates. If he the same agent with that means he's the same agent with AJ Terrell as well, right? Because they got the same agent. So good for pointing that out. John says, I like your show. I'm in Galveston, Texas. It gives me an update on the Falcons, so keep up the good rep. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Lawson, Huff, Burns, Allen, Young, Epinesa, Greenland. All these guys are awesome, man. Burns is probably the guy that he wasn't on the free agency list, so I'm thinking they must got him as a restricted free agent. I'm not 100% sure with that. We'll have to just look at it because he was one of the names I definitely was looking at to see because I definitely would have called him out. I talked about Lawson, of course Allen, of course Chase Young. So everybody you mentioned on this list is a 100% somebody that we definitely can pull. Maybe Lawson, like I said, her injury. If he's back 100% healthy from his injuries that he had, I definitely would look into that. But either one of these guys, in my opinion, would definitely be, help this defense out. One thing that we, like I said, what we really was missing last year was Grady Jarrett. He gets back 100%. He's already in the gym lifting weights and things like that. We get Grady back. Besides Dave Mumbiata, that inside's gonna be really solid. I like what Zach Harrison was able to do towards the end of the season. Him and Irma Ebiketie started to make plays, right? So, we do have homegrown talent there. Those guys can make those jumps from for Harrison from year 1 to year 2 would be great. Or maybe Katie going from year 2 to year 3, right? We need to start to see something for him because he's coming up on a contract here soon. And then maybe we get to see something from D'Angelo Malone. We haven't seen anything from him yet. He's been predominantly special teams, so we don't know what D'Angelo Malone has. But he had a motor in college. Yes, he came from on a smaller school in college, but his motor was outstanding. He continually had tackle for losses. He was always in the backfield. I say give the young man a chance to show what he got. When it comes to rushing the passer, you might find that you have a diamond in the rough, but he has not got his opportunity since he's been here, and that's one of the things we can definitely see. But bringing in any of these guys that you mentioned, once again, I believe that bringing the edge in is 1B to our quarterback 1A. Go sign Kirk Cousins. I mentioned that earlier. Yes, Kirk Cousins definitely a guy that they can bring in, and I wouldn't be 100% upset with that at all because, like I said, if you sign a guy like Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta Falcons is going to be competitive. They're going to be good, right? I think we'll be a playoff team. I just really believe that. We got the talent on both sides of the ball. If you sign a veteran like Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta Falcons should really play really solid football next year. The problem I have with it is the future, right? I want to go out and find out a franchise quarterback for the future. Now, they can bring in Kirk Cousins and still draft the quarterback. We talked about that. That's one of the options. But for me, right now, going to get a veteran free agent quarterback is still third option for me for these Atlanta Falcons. Thanks, Nathan. You talk about Turner from Alabama. Latu is definitely from it's from UCLA. So both of those guys are versed. Either one of those guys. Hey, if you can't go out and get one of these dynamic free agents, like I said, go out and draft this right here would definitely save a whole lot of money. Going out and drafting a guy Rice, going to have to pay for one of these big name guys in free agency. So 100% go out and get a and this would in my eyes, this would work if you trade for a guy like Justin Fields, with the second round pick or something like that, or even if you bring in a guy like Kirk Cousins and you still have your number 8th overall pick, you feel like you got your quarterback. At number 8, more than likely it won't be a quarterback there to draft. So in that case, you take the best player available, and I think you could probably get 2-1 best player available and a need with one of these pass rushers. I definitely think you can see the Atlanta Falcons going that route. Depending on what they do with the quarterback, that's in my opinion, that's what it really boils down to. You said Bird is unrestricted free agency, baby. They had him listed as a DN. Thanks for that. I went edge instead of DNs. That's why he wasn't on my list. So definitely add Brian Burns to the list. With Daniil Hunter, Josh Allen, and Brian Burns. He would be right up that list with me for those guys. Man, I tell you this much: if we get a guy like Daniil Hunter or Josh Allen or Brian Burns, and you compare those guys with the guys we already got on our defensive front, man, watch out for the league. I'm just telling you that right now. That would be something special, something nice to see. So, um, that would be really something special to see. I can tell you that right now. John says, Recondo, I've been in Atlanta for the Cowboys and the Aints game. I will be looking for you up there and call Dirty Bird Gladiator. I don't care if we lose the other games, but we must. Listen, man, I can tell you this right here. Looking at the schedule that the Falcons play at home this season, it's nothing but great games, right? We have some teams coming into the Mercedes-Benz Stadium this year. The Steelers, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, right? We got, of course, those Saints. So we got some really special games this season. I can't wait. I can't wait to get to the stadium and watch some of these games. The last couple of seasons, one thing we can't say about Arthur Smith, our home record has been pretty good over the last couple of years. So, these are not easy games to come in. We got the defending Super Bowl champions coming in. We got the Steelers, the Arthur Smith Bowl coming in, playing those guys, the Cowboys. And trust me, been at the stadium a lot of years, those fans going to travel. So it's going to be, instead of, complete home field advantage, it's going to be a mix because Cowboy fans, they do travel. Steeler fans, to those damn yellow towels, they travel. The Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, they still gonna be sitting on the top. Depending on what time, time of the season we play those guys. But hopefully we be ready to rock with all those teams, and we get a good, solid quarterback. Maybe getting a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins, give us a chance to win all those games. So, definitely when the schedule come out, man, we definitely need to hook up. When you come to the game. I'll definitely be there, ready to go, trying to root on our teams. Let's see here. I think the Falcons should trade for Fields. That's an option, right? That's my second option. That's my number 2 option. So, of course, if you guys looked at my show yesterday, if you have not, go ahead and look at my show because I was talking about quarterbacks and the decisions that the Falcons can make with the quarterback position. But my first choice was definitely 100% going out and drafting a young quarterback. Going all in, moving up. We mentioned going up to number 3. To get the pick. It's probably the highest they probably going to be able to go is to number 3. I don't anticipate them going in higher because it's word on the street that the Bears are not moving for number 1 unless you're going to pay, give away a lung or something to go up to get, the number 1. We're not doing that. Number 2, the Commanders not coming off the number 2 spot. So maybe the only opportunity for the Atlanta Falcons to move up would be to go to number 3. So if that's the case, be honest with you, I don't really have issue with drafting any of the 3 quarterbacks, at the top 3. However, it's not my decision. It's their decision. So they need to make sure the guy that they're getting is their number 1 guy. Because if it's not their number 1 guy, you don't pick him, right? You don't take the 3rd option on your board. You take, especially moving up to number 3, you're taking the number 1 guy on your draft board. So if he's not there, number 3, it's not worth moving up, drafting a quarterback there, right? If he's your 3rd guy on your board, you don't pick him just because you're like, oh, we need a quarterback. No, you don't do that. So, but either one of those guys, for me, I wouldn't be upset with May, Williams, or Daniels at number 3. So that's my opinion. That's my first option. Second option is just like this it says here, is to trade for Justin Fields. And I do have reservations about that. Let's not kid ourselves. Justin Fields has not, had a stellar, career so far, right? It's been up and down a whole lot. He did show a lot of signs last season, towards the end of the season, to feel like it was starting to click in his head. But end of the day, you do have to get guys in the right position, build an offense around him. I think he has all the skill sets to be a dynamic quarterback in this league, and definitely would make an offer to bring a guy like Justin Fields in. So, Nathan says Burns and Allen are probably going to run around $25 million a year. Yep, you're right. Hey, I'm not even going to try to fight you on that. That's pretty much what it's looking like right now. But guess what, man? Hey, coming from the Raheem Morris coming from the team that said fuck them drop picks, right? So if you're going all in, if you think you got a team, right? If you get your quarterback, right? And this is what I'm thinking. If you go out and get a veteran guy, right? You saying we got a team now to win it, right? You might go all in. Let's go in and try to win a championship. So you put all the chips in the table, right? You pay for a dynamic pass rusher. They pair with those guys that you talk about on defensive front. You got a veteran quarterback. You go all in, man, and see what you can do, right? If you go young quarterback, you don't. You kind of push back and try to build a team around him still until he get developed to be where he can be, take you to where you want to go. But you're right, Burns and Allen definitely probably going to get about 25. Go get Daniels. They're right. If he's there, I definitely take him at number 3. First thing first, trade Ritter and Taylor. They're gonna just release Taylor Heineke, more than likely. Recoup that $7 million to help with our salary cap. And then Ritter, it was a rumor out there that they could potentially trade him. They find a good deal to trade him, put him part of the package. Maybe a chain of scenery for him, for both involved. They trade him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Pair him back with Arthur Smith. That would be a thing that they could do. Say what you think about Trey Lance. Honestly, to be honest with you, we don't know what to know about Trey Lance. We haven't seen Trey Lance play in a while, right? I think that would be like a 5th round pick, maybe. You get him for a 5th round pick, yeah, bring him in and see what he got, right? But other than that, I would definitely not, bank on Trey Lance being something. We have no idea. We haven't seen Trey Lance play in a while, so. But if the Cowboys want to give him up for a 5th round pick, we'll definitely take him. Say what you think about. That's what you said. You just said that one about Trey Lance. Yeah, he wouldn't cost much. You're 100% at all. It wouldn't cost much at all to bring him in. You're right. We wouldn't cost much. Our guys got a couple more positions to go through. Let's talk about linebackers. I think we're pretty good on linebackers for the most part. We do need some depth, but if they want to bring in a couple of guys, consider Patrick Queen as a free agent. Market value like $18 million right now. So probably no, because it's not a need there for us to bring in a guy like Patrick Queen. I talked about Devin White for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's out there as well. So Buccaneers got a lot of decisions to make with their roster, bring guys in. Bobby Wagner, if you want to bring in a vet, right, for experience at the linebacker position, bringing a guy like Bobby Wagner who actually played with Raheem Morris, talking about those ties, something like that. So that's somebody we definitely consider bringing in, a guy like Bobby Wagner. All right. And then the last position, guys, we're going to talk about is that cornerback position, right? Of course, one of the big things in the room this year, this is AJ Terrell last season. So the Atlanta Falcons need to come up and decide to make a good team-friendly deal. I think AJ Terrell had a solid season, but he played, a little bit up under what our expectations for him this season. So I think the Falcons can get it for cheaper than, probably, earlier projected, coming into the season. So I would definitely think about go ahead and lock him up. They can lock him up before they start a new league year. That would be awesome, right? They could do that. He's already in the contract. So bringing in AJ, go ahead and sign AJ Terrell should be a factor. Now, you look at guys on our roster already. We like the way Clark Phillips played. We knew his height was going to be an issue. He was there. He played well. But he got big boyed a couple of times out there. But I like the way Clark Phillips. I love his tenacity, the way he plays. So Clark Phillip is a good guy. Mike Hughes could be another casualty there. He got another season with us, but he came in and started playing in that role for D. Alford towards the end of the season. So Mike Hughes still on the team, right at the cornerback position, but there are a couple of guys out there that we definitely consider cornerback. Now, Jeff Okudah, bringing him back. Right now, he's showing $14 million. I talked about him earlier. Started the show. I don't know if I would pay Jeff Okudah that much, but he plays solid. So if they can get him on the team for the deal, bring Jeff Okudah back already in that backfield, knows, because we got Jerry Gray coming back. So he's got familiarity with that scheme already. Bringing him in would be good. Stephon Gilmore, started going down a little bit, on the downward turn in his career, but he's still a solid corner. Bringing a veteran guy like Stephon Gilmore in, I think would be a great idea. They can get him for a team-friendly deal. Or Dory Jackson, another guy you could consider coming in. He's a free agent coming from the New York Giants, bringing him in. Kendall Fuller is another guy that the Atlanta Falcons can consider bringing in at the cornerback position. So it's definitely more than that, guys. If you want to go out there and look, you can go out there on Spotrac and look at the free agents, the wide receiver free agents. It's a lot of the biggest thing about this free agent class. A lot of free agents out there. Now the Falcons can be players. They won't be as big as players they were last season because they don't have as much money as they had last season. So we do have to factor that in. Does not have as much money they had last season. However, they can free up cap space. We talked about that. So, but these are just some positions, some of the free agents, guys, that's currently free agents. Remember what I said, that could be more free agents pop up out there when teams got to start to get their cap, under control. A lot of teams right now over the cap, they got to get under the cap by the new league year. So they're going to start making decisions on players and things like that. Some guys going to actually show up on the market, which can work in our favor, right? We have a good coaching staff, good place where, guys might want to come play for the Atlanta Falcons. Roster is decent. We figured that quarterback position could be a lot of attractive place for free agents to come this season. So we'll definitely have to see what's that going to be all about. Next, guys, we got the combine coming up. Like I said, we're going to start getting into the draft heavily. We're going to start talking about some draftees and things like that. This year is honestly, it's a little different for me because I still 100% don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback position. So I hate living in the hypothetical and figuring out because like I just don't like talking about stuff that, in my opinion, that's never going to happen. Like, for an example, like last year when everybody wanted to talk about Lamar Jackson, I just knew that was never going to happen. So I just hated talking about that topic, right? But this year it's like everything is on the table, so you can talk about everything, for the most part. You just don't know the direction the Falcons going in, and it starts with the quarterback, man. Until they figure that out, like you don't really know what they're going to do in the draft because they got to figure that out, right? So we're going to, for an example, we're going to draft and we don't have a quarterback. You anticipate them getting a quarterback somewhere in the draft, right? Moving up, taking a quarterback. We don't know. Like, we have to figure that out. But the Falcons don't figure out the quarterback situation before the draft, via trade, free agency, or something like that, we're drafting the quarterback in the draft. That's probably what's going to happen, right? we don't know. By then, the Falcons might already be on trade up, for one of the top 3 picks, and then we know they're going for a quarterback, right? So it's a lot of pieces that needs to fall in place before we can actually get into draftees and things like that. So I'm going to do what I think they're going to, I'm going to talk about, I have an idea what the Falcons are going to do, but until they start to make some moves, we get an idea, not just the Falcons, other teams as well, because that can kind of start some tea leaves as well. Maybe we'll hear something soon about what the Bears want to do with Justin Fields, right? And that would definitely open up a lot of avenues of something we could do, right? So, guys, that's all I had today. Those are the free agents around the league so far. Be on the lookout for more free agents out there. I want to thank everybody for coming in today. Please share, like, and subscribe to Recondo Real Falcon Fan. Probably be back on Wednesday night. Like I said, to get into some draft class perspectives. That's all I have. This is your boy Recondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.